criminal charge or maybe civil case kasi one of our colleagues recently won a case, Atom Araulio, 2 million yung fine for red tagging them. So, involving Miss Badoy and Mr. Celis. So, ano ba yung mga kinoconsider ng House na legislative remedies?
Just to answer plainly po, no, as of now, anything goes po, no. We're in the early stages of our committee hearings, and it could very well be civil or criminal or both po, no. As it stands, if you've been following a hearing, preliminary pa lang po, we're only getting to the meat of it. But as a personal stance, I do believe nothing precludes a criminal punishment for the things that we seek to avoid po here. Why? Personally, we already have slander and libel naman po, no? These are criminal in nature, hindi naman po yun civil in our jurisdiction, and it's constitutional. So in the fact, we just have to be very careful with the tests that were already laid out by jurisprudence. We have clear and present danger. We have to consider yung chilling effect that it might have upon journalists and on freedom of expression. But with that said, I believe there is a way that we can really balance yung interest natin, even with a criminal nature. Because one thing that we see po, especially, kasi po, there are multiple factors to this disinformation. We're talking first and foremost about individual acts that might be deemed punishable. And you could liken that to libel, you can liken that to slander. But you also have to consider yung organizational. Yung nakikita po natin na parang makinarya na po yung sasagawa ng disinformation. How much more pag makinarya being funded by a foreign entity? Ako personally, I think that should be criminal po eh. Kapag binibenta mo yung opinion dun sa foreign adversary that would have an interest of putting our society in disarray. So I think we should be open to a criminal nature to this bill. But definitely, the bare minimum, also considering po yung civil.
In addition to that, no, actually, the committee TRICOM is born out from the privileged speech of Chairman Ace Barbers, and basically, if you've listened to the speech of Chairman Ace Barbers, it's more on how do we regulate the operation of this social media platforms, no. Remember, mayroon naman talagang libel, nanalo na nga sabi mo si Atom Araulio. So there's already that there's already the way on how we can file complaints or libel cases against those who are spreading malinformation, misinformation against a certain individual or organization. But the case that we need to really strengthen here and to look into is how to regulate, because according to the information that we gather from our last hearings, talagang pumapasok na siya doon sa national security issue. So I think that's what Kong Rog is trying to explain kanina, na if it's about individual cases, there are already laws that govern yung filing of cyber libel, filing of libel against. Pero on the more collective way of looking at it, yung security ng ating bansa ay napapasok na nitong mga operators sa online, na kumukuha sila ng mga amplifiers, I would say, dito sa local scene, na nagsaspread din ng misinformation and malinformation, which I believe ang DICT at saka yung sa anong agency na yun nagsasabi talaga na this is something that we should look into, and to have a law that would regulate itong klaseng pamamaraan at pagpapalakad ng mga ganitong klaseng online operators. So I think that's where we can now finally probably open the possibility in exploring whether we can file or we can make it something that's punitive as a criminal cases or charges na po pwedeng ipataw sa mga ganong klaseng operators.
Thank you, sir. Yung second question ko on Marawi compensation law. Hingi lang ako ng update, sir. Understand since the law was passed, every year, a little over 1 billion lang yung funding. at that rate, parang when are we going to finish compensating the victims? 2017 pa kasi yun, sir.
Yeah,
I
actually,
mean,
that's the...
how, di ba, parang how long will it take
Well, the-
given na ganun lang yung budget every year?
I agree. Well, the bare minimum actually required by the MCB law is 1 billion at hindi dun bababa. So mas po pwede pa siyang tumaas. In fact, itong previous na budget hearing natin, yung GAA, meron na ibigay na more than 1 billion. I think 2 billion yung first starting na fund ng MCB. And on top of the 2 billion, may dinagdag na 1 billion. But it's also, according to the DBM, kasi nag-usap kami, the arrangement is that since the MCB is still accepting yung mga yung mga petition and other applications for the claims, but medyo matagal eh. So, the moment that they have verified, done with the assessment and the finally determining kung sino talaga yung award, how much would that cost for the damage of properties, etc., based on fair market value, that's the time that they can actually request for the budget. So ang nangyari is in actuality nung disbursement of the budget is more than 1 billion pesos. It's, I think nag-reach na siya ng mga almost 4 billion. But what you're mentioning kanina, yung 1 billion is actually that's the bare minimum na dapat na may pondo sa MCB. But it can go up and we have experienced that in the last year sa fiscal year natin of 2024, tumaas naman talaga siya. Yung utilization ng pondo, it's more than 1 billion actually. It's more than almost 4 billion. Kasi natapos na rin nila i-verify at saka i-vet yung lahat ng mga claims.
Sir, 4 billion na yung napamigay.
I'm
Tama?
not sure kung exact amount, but it's more than 1 billion. It's almost 3 billion. You can run down the amount from 4 to, I think, mga 3, kung di ako nagkakamali. I don't have the exact figure, but it's more than 1 billion. Yung 1 billion kasi yun lang naman ang requirement na budget ng MCB according to sa batas.
Oh yes, pero yun nga sir, parang ilan na ba yung nakatanggap?
Yeah,
As against, ilan ba dapat lahat yung makatanggap at ilan na yung nakakatanggap so far?
Yung dapat na makatanggap based on dyan sa verified na mga nagfa-file for the claims. Kasi kaya kailangan mo ng verification kasi kailangan mo talaga ma-determine kung how many really are eligible to receive the compensation packages. Now, as to how the exact number of households, I cannot give you that exact amount, exact figure kasi ongoing pa rin talaga kasi kaya mga vetting process. But definitely, I agree with you, 1 billion is not enough to compensate the number of victims displaced during the Marawi siege. I think if 1 billion, tatamaan na tayo ng mga ilang taon. No? So I think we have to really set a certain amount where we can say na a portion of those who are yung death claims, dapat ganitong rate ang matapos. Diba? So I think ganun ng approach ng MCB ngayon. Yung mga damaged properties, ilan ba yung families na damaged properties, and how much should we allocate for these families to receive the actual compensation packages. So ganun po yung ginagawa nila. So they try to compartmentalize the different and varying compensation packages for each of the families, whether death claims ito, whether property damage ito, whether etc. o public asset ito. So ganun po yung nangyayari na process po ng MCB.
Ilan na po yung households na nakakuha?
Well, I don't have the exact figure right now, but meron pa talagang other claimants na up to now are still waiting to receive the actual compensation. But there are already families, quite number of families that have already received the compensation package. Ang naging problema lang talaga dyan is yung 4 na barangay. Kasi yun yung sinasabing hindi na sila makabalik doon kasi nga yung kung saan nakatayo yung previous yung mga buildings and mga bahay ay reclaim kasi yan na area eh, and then it's public property, so that's the problem now that we're trying to solve. I think kailangan talaga silang ma-compensate. Hindi dapat mangyari yung sinasabi, although this is just the information that I received, na baka hindi sila maka-receive nga kasi the area, I mean the residences where they were that were located at that before the Marawi siege, happens to be part of the public property. Yeah, public property. So that's the thing that we need to resolve nga. But according to the MCB law, kasi identified naman sila na part sila dun sa 24 barangays, MCB should receive yung mga claims nila, no? At they should receive request for compensation packages kasi yung 4 barangays identified naman dun sa mga areas na heavily damaged. So I think those are the things that we need to look into and then probably make some mandatory proposal once pumasok po yung 20th Congress. Hopefully nandito pa rin kami ni Kong Rog para at least maupuan namin yan.
Thank you, sir. Thank you po.
Thank you, Linesca. Let us proceed with the next questions from Bibi Angulio of ABS-CBN2.
Good afternoon po. Just going back to the Kill Senator's remark of former President Rodrigo Duterte, ano po yung mga, you urge the NBI to look into it, ano po yung mga nakikita ninyo na posibleng ikaso with those remarks?
Well, I think it's about time para sa akin personally, in my opinion. It's about time that the law enforcement agencies to take seriously about this kind of rhetorics, diba? As to whether or not there is a validity or there's a merit for the NBI to pursue filing charges against President Duterte. That would depend on how they would probably proceed with the investigation. That's why magkakaroon ng investigation to make sure that there is really indeed a merit to file possible cases, no? Nakita naman natin dito sa Vice President Sara Duterte, still ang DOJ, they're still looking for possible filing of cases when she made those threats against President BBM, First Lady and Speaker Martin Romualdez. I think the point that I'm trying to drive at is that let's draw the line when can we actually accept things as joke or as a mere as a simple ordinary rhetoric from that of a statement that actually causes harm to individual lives. So I think that's just the thing that I would like to drive at. Kung sinasabi po natin na kailangan seryosohin ho natin yung mga ordinaryo na tao pag sila ay nagbabanta or nagjo-joke man lang ng mga bomb threats ay inaaresto natin sila. Why can't we be selective in our application of that kind of law and policies?
Kong Rog, your thoughts on that? Meron po bang mga nalabag? Or in your opinion, ano po yung mga nakikita nyo na mga posibleng nalabag ng statement na yon na batas? Also, do you see it as possibly laying down the defense for the impeachment trial of the Vice President?
Of course, I'm a little rusty on criminal law, but I think what comes to mind is grave threats. That would be the first thing that you'd have to take a look into. I don't know if it would be parang a threat to direct assault, but at the end of the day, what's really important to take note lang po siguro, it's not the importance of anong may kakaso. I think we're just talking about, I agree 100% with Kong Adyong, it's about the normalization of these kinds of ganitong pananalita. Normal na po ba ito sa lipunan natin? Katanggap-tanggap na po ba ang mga ganitong mga binibitaw ng mga salita? It's come to the point na po na parang I can't believe we're going to say na it's normal to joke about killing, it's normal to joke about, yung mga ganun. So, what's scary especially is that under oath na banggit po, the one who uttered that word, nabanggit po na he did indeed kill people. So, where do we draw the line? And then after magsabi ng ganitong salita, later on, papasok yung interpreter, magsasabi na, biro lang daw po yun, hindi po yung totoo, hyperbole. I think we have to really take it seriously na po. Not so much in the extent, depends. If NBI finds probable cause, then there will be a case. But more than the case, we have to take these words seriously. We don't take it lightly. the senators have to beef their protection. Di natin alam. More than even if the one who uttered the words is not serious, we cannot you cannot disregard the fact that he has a lot of followers. Paano kung sila po, they take this as a call to arms? What if ako naniniwala sa isang tao, sabi niya, patayin na lang natin to. Ako, maniniwala ako, okay. That's a problem with words. It emboldens people to do what might be, it might do wrong. So I think more important than the case is the principle. So to answer, sorry, roundabout na naman. To answer the question, I think grave threats, but more importantly, all preparations, consider it serious. Yun lang po siguro.
Going back to the impeachment naman, sir, are you optimistic? I know you mentioned that you agree with the complaint or petition filed before the Supreme Court to compel the Senate to convene as an impeachment court. But are you optimistic that the Supreme Court will grant that petition, or can the Supreme Court order the Senate to convene as an impeachment court immediately?
Two things po, no? I think to clarify, I am optimistic I am of the opinion na talagang may kapangyarihan po yung Supreme Court to rule on this. I think it's the proper venue, and that it is the remedy that they're looking for, the writ of mandamus po, for example. I think these are things that the Supreme Court will be fully empowered to do po talaga, without talking about the merits yet. And the merits, I've already mentioned, sa tingin ko po, may merit naman po yung kaso, may opinion naman po na dapat ito ay mandato ng Senate to tackle the impeachment forthwith. But this is not to supplant po, no, yung maaaring sasabihin ng Supreme Court. I'm optimistic of the chances, but I can't say that for sure gagawin po nila. I'm just saying na they have the power to do it. And I eagerly anticipate po what the Supreme Court will do in this matter. Tama po ba? We're talking about the mandamus po, no? Yeah. So